Moonface by Alana Jordan. Because it's 2025 and you can write anything you want. You don't really expect to be insulted by the moon. And yet there I was, one humid Wednesday night in July, standing barefoot on the splintery balcony of my sister's budget timeshare in Asheville, North Carolina, being quietly judged by a celestial body with a smirk. The moon, full, smug, and glowing like a marshmallow that thinks it's better than you, hovered in the sky like it had something to say and wasn't afraid to say it. And it did say something, not in the way that would require medication or an emergency visit, but more like that passive-aggressive aunt who doesn't have to say she's disappointed. You can hear it in the way she breathes. "You again?" it said, smiling with its eyes closed. Like it was savoring a secret about me it had no intention of sharing. "Honestly, Alana, didn't we agree you'd stop embarrassing yourself?" I blinked twice, then downed the last of my lukewarm chamomile tea. It had started as a hopeful detox and ended as a tepid mistake, much like my most recent relationship, or career, or hair choice. "Take it from me. Don't cut your own bangs." "Are you talking to me?" I whispered. "Who else would I be talking to?" said the moon, in a voice that sounded like a sleep-deprived kindergarten teacher. Pleasant, lilting, and perilously close to snapping. Now, when you're confronted by a talking moon, you have options. You can panic, call 911, fall to your knees and start praying, or lean in. Unfortunately, I had already maxed out my mental health visits for the year and had accidentally ghosted my last therapist because her affirmations started to sound like threats. So I leaned in. "Okay, what's your issue?" The moon exhaled, a shimmering sigh that glittered through the cosmos like someone had popped a bottle of champagne in the Milky Way. "Do you know how long I've watched you?" "Years. Decades. Before you were born, actually, but I am not going to explain how that works. You, with your grand plans, your Post-it notes, your emotional support houseplants that keep dying. Every single one. It's like a tragic sitcom that never gets canceled." I looked down, ashamed. They were succulents. I didn't think they could die that easily. The moon chuckled. "You think you're misunderstood, but you're not. You're very well understood. You're just quirky. Sweet and basically harmless, yes, but a mess no one wants to deal with." "Wow, that feels unnecessary," I muttered. But the moon had already moved on, rotating ever so slightly as if bored. "Do you remember third grade?" it asked. "Do you?" "It was a really long time ago," I countered. It ignored me. "You stood in front of the class with a construction paper telescope taped to your face. You called it galactic vision and made everyone chant your name. You wore a cape made out of a tablecloth and claimed your dad worked for NASA, which he did not. But I respected that." I blinked. That had been my peak, honestly. "You had ambition then," the moon said. "Now look at you. Eating large amounts of Cheerios and Googling how to know if you're the problem at 1 a.m. That was one time. It was Tuesday. I sighed and sat down cross-legged on the balcony, the wood slats branding the back of my thighs like a punishment. "What do you want from me?" The moon softened a little, or maybe it was just a passing cloud. "I want you to stop acting like life is a series of cosmic tests you're failing. It's not. It's more like a group project where everyone thinks someone else is doing the work. You're not behind. You're just weirdly paced. Like a drunk jogger?" "Exactly." The moon nodded, or seemed to. Then, just to make things weirder, it started humming. A lullaby, sweet and lilting and slightly off-key. I couldn't place the melody, but it reminded me of the music boxes I used to open obsessively as a child, waiting for the tiny ballerina to spin her way into some kind of revelation. "You've got a good heart," it said quietly. "It's just buried under a blanket of sarcasm and poor impulse control." "Okay, that's not untrue." "And you're not doomed," it continued. "You're just very you." I looked up. Is that supposed to be comforting? Only if you're ready to forgive yourself for being odd. I prefer the word quirky, but I get your point. We sat like that for a while. Me, the moon, and 1,000 stars that were definitely eavesdropping. There was no grand insight, no magical transformation, but there was stillness, which in my life was rarer than enlightenment. Eventually, the moon yawned. "Time for me to dip." "Where are you going?" "To go judge the Australians." "Don't let me keep you." The moon winked, its whole face folding into a cartoonish smile, and slowly sank behind the mountain ridge, leaving behind only a sky full of gold-dusted pinpricks and the faint smell of lavender from my sister's anxiety diffuser. I sat there for another few minutes, listening to crickets and the faint gurgle of what I hoped was someone's hot tub and not a busted septic system. I thought about everything the moon had said, and also everything it hadn't. Maybe it was right. Maybe being strange wasn't something I needed to outgrow. Maybe, just maybe, the world needed a few people with construction paper telescopes and capes made out of tablecloths. Back inside, I passed my reflection in the hallway mirror. My face looked soft, even kind, like someone who just had a heart-to-heart with a celestial therapist, because that's what had happened. I smiled at myself, and for once, it didn't feel like a lie. Then I tripped over my own slipper and slammed my shin into a dresser. Ouch. The moon didn't see that part. I hope. Epilogue. The next morning, my sister asked why I looked weirdly serene, like I'd just emerged from a silent retreat or a cult onboarding seminar. I said nothing. Just poured myself a fresh cup of tea. And that night, when the moon came back, round and bashful and humming that lullaby again, I waved. And this time, I think it waved back.